This is Terrence Andre Banks with Information Age Financial Solutions, coming to you today talking about rehab loans, how to pick a contractor, and I'm kind of combining this all together in terms of flipping houses as a whole. As we're getting closer and closer to the peak and the end of this cycle, I just wanted to go over a number of different things because I constantly keep seeing the same mistakes happening to a lot of new investors and even people who have a little bit of experience. The reason why I can talk about this is because I've had over 10 years rehabbing homes of myself. It's a business that I've occurred, and I worked over 2 years as a project manager directly with a hard money lender, watching a number of numerous projects from new construction to renovations. Pretty much I covered the gambit, especially rental properties as well. People rehabbing them, usually even as rentals. Now, because of that, the experience that I've had personally and my own business, and as well as working as a project manager for a company dealing with the space each and every day, and over 10 years of myself, I combine all that information just to give you some, just kind of the things that I picked up through those times in terms of what I constantly see as a particular barrier, and a lot of people find this out and I have to explain to them later on, and when they sometimes, especially having sometimes intense conversations, but hey, you're not going to have enough money to finish this project. And they always tell me, well, my contractor told me this, and yeah, we're starting out okay. And even if they have a little experience, they just start taking into consideration of all the different factors that go along, especially when you get late in the cycle in terms of doing rehabs, in terms of the real estate market in general. So even though it sounds a little jumbled, I'm going to kind of pinpoint it down and just focus on, those particular areas: rehab loans, finding a contractor, some of the things you need to be out for, the pitfalls that go along with dealing with contractors, and how to keep your project moving, and at best, keep it moving so you can at least get it done in a timely manner. Now, let's start beginning with the one thing that people really need to know, and it's just a real thing that you really need to pay attention to. Most contractors, even if they have good intentions, will not do what they say they're going to do when they say they're going to do it. So, because even if they're having good intentions, once they open up a wall, or once they come into another process or something else that gives them a little bit of a hiccup into their plan, even if they have the most ideal aspect, that's going to slow their process down. Now, if you're dealing with just a general contractor dealing with just small projects or doing houses, they're trying to line 3 or 4 different projects at the same time. So they may be working on your home, but they're taking on other properties as well, because that's how they keep their money flow. Now, that in itself is an issue, but it doesn't have to be your issue. It's just something you need to take in consideration with, because if it's dealing with a general contractor and they're, especially in the up market, and they have, their goal is to keep it doing as much houses as they possibly can, and they'll schedule 2 or 3 different projects going on to the next, and most of the times, even if you get, and then you're accustomed to that particular contractor, you find yourself in a pickle at the end because you can't get the project done on the time, or you can't find him to get him to do the little touch-up items in your punch list there. So take that in consideration. Even if they're telling you you've had experience with them before, especially if they're doing small end projects, especially residential, they're going to take on a number of different projects at the same time, unless it's extremely slow. But right now in this real estate market, everywhere you go, there's building. Now they're starting to slow down. That's why I'm really paying attention to starting to slow down in some key areas. So that's why I'm really doing this video, because a lot of people are not really taking into consideration that we're coming to the end of this cycle, and these things that you were able to get away with before, you really need to button them down, especially dealing with contractors. So, as a rule, if you're in an up market, number one, it's extremely difficult to find a good contractor. And even if you do find a good contractor, when it's an up market, you're going to pay more. So just take that in consideration, because in an up market, everyone's going to charge a higher price. Everyone believes that they're going to deserve more. Keep that in mind. If you're starting out to find a contractor on your own, one of the best ways to go about it is getting referrals. Hey, has this contractor done work for you before? What is his rating? Even if they say, yeah, he's done work before, he's got a pretty good rating. He may very well have, or she may very well have a good rating. Doesn't mean that their good rating for that particular investor will be the same. Your experience will be the same for you. So let's say this contractor has a number, we dealt with this contractor a number of times before, and he has a pretty good rating with most people he deals with. You may be that last person he comes up to that he just has and blows out the relationship. That's just the name of this business, and that's just something that you have to take in consideration. Even if a general contractor has a good rating, and he's especially well known in the industry, he still can blow up your particular project. I know it's hard to believe, but I've seen it countless times. So number one, no matter how well the contractor is known, he still can blow up on your project. Number two, if you're in an up market and the market is hot, especially with the real estate market that we're in now, contractors are more expensive. These two factors alone, you have to be very careful about. The third factor, and this is something else to be mindful of, is that each contractor that you're dealing with, you have to keep them on a really strict budget. Even the good ones, they ask for a large amount of money up front. They'll say, well, let's say you have a $60,000 project. They'll probably, even if they're breaking into 6 different chunks at $10,000 a piece. No, stop right there. Don't have them do that. Even if you want to keep that general contractor, you need to say, listen, I know you want to be broken down in these $10,000 increments. Let's see how we can, even if it's going to push your project out a little bit longer, it's best to do this. Let's take that $10,000 increments and maybe $2,000 or $3,000 chunks. So therefore, you can better able to handle your project and better handle his mistakes. Really, it's just to protect yourself from them. Even the ones that's good. You always have to protect yourself, especially if you're rehabbing a home. So that's the third thing. And again, I know I'm giving this a lot of jumble because it's just straight on my mind, and I want to just come without really writing all this stuff down, just speaking from experience and the number of years that I've done this. So every contractor, even the good ones who have pretty good budgets, and they line item each one of the things that they're going to do. They're going to start with a demo here. We're going to do the demo. We're going to do the roof. We want to do demo, roof, and electrician at the same time. Even if it says on paper and it sounds good for the scope of work, break that down into small increments that you can handle and you have to manage. For rehab projects, it is a on-the-job basis. Many people who are out of town think they can do a flip, believing the contractor is going to be able to do it. And if you're coming up on weekends, you really need to be on top of your project. The larger the project, the more you need to be on top of it. If you doing anything with dealing with inspections and it's not a cosmetic rehab, plan to work on it like you're doing a full-time job. I know this sounds extreme, but it's just been my experience, and I can't tell you countless times where I've been the victim of contractors. Even I've dealt with a contractor for a number of years. I had him on my payroll, and he still will not be there when he was supposed to be there. And if you're doing a number project, you may not be able to mindful that because you may be focused on the numbers or working on your next deal. And you may take it for granted. Well, he'll get around there. You'll find out that him not being there, or because he's had such an experience and stuff like that, he may not be able to finish the project when you want him to get it done. And you'll find out that a lot of the times, a number of things he said he was going to do, it really comes out to be piss poor in terms of quality. So if you're doing a rehab, you need to be on top of that job you need to be on it like it's a 40-hour work week and focus your time on that. I don't think enough time is expressed in that because a lot of people think because they're taking a number of courses or so much online space about doing rental rehabs and flipping houses that they don't really stress enough that this is a job. This has to be worked as you would work a job, because contractors can make or break your project, and more 9 times out of 10, they would more likely break your project. I've seen them pay $26,000 only to fire that particular contract, and you have that much money out of pocket, and that cuts into your profit margin later. So when you take that into consideration when you're dealing with contractors, one, even the best of them even have good intentions. Each project is different. You have to be on top of them and make sure that they're doing what they're said to do. When they're coming for you, if you have a larger scope of work or any scope of work, if they breaking down things and they want money up front, explain that, I can't do that. Maybe I can buy the products up. Maybe I can buy some of the materials up front and then get you to get started, and then I will be able then to pay you based on the work you did. A lot more effort in that aspect, a lot more hands-on, but it gets you to be able to be more in control of your project, and you have less issues when it comes down the line for if you have to fire him or her, or you're not having as much capital out of pocket up front. Another thing that goes into consideration, if you have to fire a contractor, try to keep it on the best standing as it is, because they have been known, if they become disgruntled, to try to damage the property. So keep that in consideration as well. If you have to fire a contractor, they're not going to be happy with being fired. No one likes to get fired because they may be speculating on a source of income, and it just may be something that you need to get done. Take that into consideration. Try to keep it on the most amicable, as amicable as possible, but take that into consideration. You need to have an extra part of your budget just in case that mishap goes on. Now, I've done this and kind of jumbled up a lot. I just wanted to just a quick video to explain, because we're at the end of the cycle, how much this is important regardless of what time we cycle, but extremely now, because we're such at the end of this real estate cycle, in my opinion, because of what I'm seeing out there, that you really need to be mindful of what your contractors can do, especially if you're doing a flip. If this video has been any value to you, please subscribe, leave some comments, share it, and until my next video, I'm out.